You are not supposed to talk about this thing you are carrying. You are not supposed to name it, not out loud, not even in the dark of your own mind when you are lying awake at 3 in the morning, staring at the ceiling and feeling that strange hum vibrating beneath your skin. The world told you to keep quiet. The people around you, the ones who love you, the ones who would never hurt you, intentionally. They have been gently steering you away from your own, from your whole, from it, your whole life, without even realizing what they have been doing, what they were doing. They said you were too sensitive, too much, too intense. They said you felt things too deeply, saw things too clearly, reacted to energies and currents that nobody else in the room could preserve. And you believed them because they were not being cruel. They were being human. And humans have been terrified of what you carry since the beginning of time. But here's the thing you need to understand right now. Not later, not when you are ready, not when you have had time to process this gently, but right in this moment, exact moment. You were never meant to hide it. That instinct you carry, you have to bury it, to minimize it, to apologize for it. That didn't come from you. That came from every single voice that ever told you that what you feel isn't real, what you see isn't there, what you know isn't true. That came from generations of people who couldn't handle the frequency you operate on and decided the only way to protect themselves was to convince you that you were broken. They were not evil for doing it. They were afraid. But their fear doesn't get to write the final chapter of your story. Something shifted in the last few days. You felt it, didn't you? That strange stillness that descended on you when the rest of the world kept spinning at its usual chaotic pace. You were sitting somewhere, maybe your kitchen, maybe your car, maybe at your terrace, maybe on the edge of your bed with your head in your hands. And for no reason, you could articulate. Everything went quiet inside of you. The constant noise, the chatter, the worry, the what ifs, they all just stopped. And in that silence, you heard something you'd never heard before. Or maybe you felt something you'd never felt before. Maybe it was a warmth in your chest that didn't make sense. Maybe it was a knowing that pressed again against your consciousness, trying to desperately to get your attention. Maybe you looked in the mirror and for the first time you saw someone you didn't recognize. You didn't quite recognize someone who looked like you but carried themselves differently, someone who seemed to be holding something invisible but unmistakable. You told yourself it was nothing. You rationalized it away. You said it was just a mood, just a strange day, just your imagination finally getting the better of you. But you know what you felt, don't you? You know it was real. You know it was significant. You know deep down that it has something to do with the thing you've been carrying since you were a child, the thing that made you different, the thing that made you isolate yourself The thing that made you wonder why you couldn't just be normal like everyone else. The world has a name for people like you. They say you are emotionally intelligent. They say you are intuitive. They say you have good instincts. They dress it up in nice clinical language that makes them feel safe, that allows them to acknowledge what you are without actually having to engage with that, with what you are. Because what you are isn't comfortable. What you are challenges the way they've organized their lives. What you are asks questions they've spent decades successfully avoiding. But what you are makes them feel exposed, seen in a way they don't want to be seen, known in a way they've never been known before. And so they keep you at a distance, not desperately, not with malice, but with a million small retreats, a million tiny adjustments of the atmosphere when you walk into a room. A million subtle signals that say you are not quite like us, and we don't quite know what to do with you. But here's the truth you've been waiting your whole life to hear. You were not built to fit into their boxes. You were never meant to be comfortable in their spaces. You were never meant to shrink yourself down until you could pass for ordinary. Every single time you lied, you dimmed your light. Every single time you pretended not to see when you clearly saw. Every single time you swallowed the words that were rising in your throat because you knew they would make people uncomfortable. You were betraying the very thing that makes you who you really are. And that betrayal has been costing you more than you realize. The exhaustion you feel, the bone deep weariness that follows you no matter how much sleep you get, no matter how many vacations you take, no matter how perfectly you manage every detail of your existence. That's not a physical exhaustion. That's the exhaustion of a weapon that's been fighting to be used while its owner keeps insisting it's just a tool for decoration. That's the exhaustion of a gift that's been being suffocated. That's the exhaustion of a purpose that's being denied at every turn by the very person who was entrusted with it. Think about the experiences that have been hardest for you, the moments when life felt like it was actively trying to break you apart. Think about the people who hurt you the deepest, the ones who made you question everything you thought you knew about yourself. Think about the times when you felt absolutely certain about something, some people, some situation, some truth, and then you were told you were wrong, told you were imagining things, told you were overthinking, told you were too much. And then think about what happened after those moments. Think about how many times you were proven right. Think about how many times the thing you felt that everyone dismissed turned out to be the exact truth that eventually revealed itself. Think about how many times your gut knew before your brain did. How many times? How many times your body told you something was wrong before your mind could articulate it? How many times you walked into a room and instantly knew the energy before anyone had even spoken a word? That's the weapon. That's what they have been trying to keep you hide. That's what you've been apologizing for. That's what you have been treating like a curse. Curse when every single time it's proven to be the most accurate compass you've ever had. You were not imagining things. You were never making things up. You were not being dramatic or emotional or irrational. You were sensing what was actually there, and the people around you were not capable of sensing it themselves. So they do what they can. They assumed you weren't inventing it. They assumed that because they couldn't feel it, it couldn't exist. And you, wanting to belong, wanting to be loved, wanting to be normal, agreed with them. But agreement with a lie doesn't make it true. It makes you a liar to yourself. And you've been lying to yourself for so long that you have almost forgotten what the truth feels like. You've buried it so deep that you've convinced yourself that it isn't there. You've apologized for it so many times that you've started to believe you actually have something to apologize for. You minimize it so effectively that you can barely recognize it when it surfaces. But it's surfacing now, isn't it? That's what this moment is. That's what this feeling is. That's what this impossible shift in your perception is. The weapon is waking up. The weapon is demanding to be seen. The weapon is refusing to stay hidden any longer. Because the purpose it was created for is arriving. And you cannot serve that purpose if you don't even know what you're holding. This hasn't been an accident. None of it. Not the way you've always been different. Not the way you've always seen through things that others couldn't. Not the way you've always felt too much, known too much, sensed too much. Not the difficulties, the losses, the people who walked away, the doors that slammed shut, the opportunities that evaporated just when you thought you'd finally made it. Not any of it. Every single thing that happened to you, every single thing that was done to you, every single thing you survived and learned to pretend hadn't happened. It was owning the weapon, was teaching the weapon what it needed to know in order to do what it's about to do. The people who couldn't handle you, they were not leaving you. They were making room. Every door that closed, every relationship that shattered, every dream that died, they were all clearing the path. Painful phase, but they were all moving obstacles out of your way. They were all making space for what's coming, even when they didn't know they were doing it, even when they thought they were just abandoning you, even when they walked away, telling themselves it was your fault. You have been walking around feeling like you are behind, like you have missed something, like you Like everyone else got the instructions and you're still standing here wondering what you're supposed to do. Like you are perpetually waiting, perpetually almost there, but not quite. Perpetually on the edge of something you cannot quite reach. And you have been interpreting all of that as failure, as inadequacy, as proof that you are not enough. But what if it wasn't failure at all? What if the waiting was the preparation? Just think about it. What if the feeling that you are behind is just the feeling of a weapon that hasn't been fired yet? A tool that hasn't been used for its purpose? A key that hasn't found its lock. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. You've been following a different timeline, a timeline that was always yours, even when you couldn't see it, even when you wanted to jump onto someone else's timeline, even when you tried desperately to catch up to people who were going somewhere you were never supposed to go. And now you are standing at this threshold, the one you couldn't even see until this moment, the one that's been hidden in plain sight, the one that's been waiting for you to stop looking everywhere else and look at what's actually in your hands. You have been waiting, you have been searching for answers outside yourself for so long that you forgot you were the answer. You were the answer. You have been seeking permission from people who don't have the authority to give it. You've been asking for validation from sources that don't have the power to bestow it. You've been waiting for the universe to tell you that you are ready, that you are worthy, that you are chosen. But the universe already chose you. That's the whole point. That's the thing you've been trying to forget or to recall, trying to remember. That's the truth you've been running from. You were picked. You were selected. You were marked for something before you could even walk, before you could even speak, before you could even understand what was happening to you. And every single step of your life since then has been a step toward this moment. Every single choice, every single mistake, every single triumph, every single heartbreak, they were all leading here. They were all bringing you to the point where you could finally look at what you are carrying and recognize it for what it is. This isn't naive, this isn't optimism. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't manifestation of a law of attraction or any of the other things people tell themselves to feel better about their lives. This is reality. This is the actual architecture of existence. This is how it works. There are people in this world who are built for things that other people couldn't survive, couldn't handle, couldn't even imagine. And you are one of them. You were built different because you were built for something different. You were built tougher, deeper, more sensitive, more attuned, more aware, because you were built to handle weight that would crush an ordinary person. You were built to see what others cannot see. You were built to know what others cannot know. You were built to carry what others cannot carry. And here's the thing you really need to understand. The thing that changes every everything about how you see yourself. The weight you've been feeling, the heaviness that's been pressing down on you, the sense that you are holding something enormous and you don't know what to do with it. That's not the weight of something wrong with you. That's the weight of something right with you. That's the weight of your purpose pushing against the container that's been too small to hold it. That's the weight of your destiny trying to break free of the box you've been keeping it in. You haven't been feeling pain. You've been feeling pressure. You haven't been feeling broken. You've been feeling loaded. You haven't been feeling lost. You've been feeling aimed. The tension you've been carrying isn't the tension of collapse. It's the tension of a bow drawn back, waiting for the exact moment to release. It's the tension of a spring compressed, storing energy for the exact moment to expand. It's the tension of a weapon fully charged, waiting for the exact moment to fire. And that moment is now. That's what this is. That's what you are feeling right now. That's why this message found you, and you know it. Know it. It didn't find you by accident. You know it didn't find you because you were ready to hear it. You know it because of that. Because you were ready to hear it. Because you were finally at the point where you could receive it. Because you had finally exhausted every other possibility and were open to hearing the truth. You know that the very thing that brought you here, the strange shift in your awareness, the sudden clarity that descended on you, the feeling that something important was about to happen. All of it was the weapon beginning to surface, beginning to make itself known, beginning to demand that you finally see it for what it is. And what is it? What is this thing you've been carrying? It's not a gift in the way the world defines gifts. It's not a talent or a skill or a personality trait. It's something older than that, something deeper than that. It's something that doesn't belong to the ordinary order of things. It's something that was always meant to be exceptional, always meant to be different, always meant to set you apart. It's a part of you that cannot be explained, cannot be categorized, cannot be contained. It's the part of you that walks into a room and changes the atmosphere before you even say a word. It's the part of you that speaks and feels something ancient and powerful and undeniable. Undeniable is moving through your voice. It's the part of you that other people sense without knowing what they are sensing. The part that makes them nervous or drawn to you or respectful or all three at once. You have been trying to make that part of you smaller. You have been trying to make it more acceptable. You've been trying to fit into the limited, cramped spaces other people have built for themselves. And you have been suffering for it. You've been suffocating for it. You've been betraying yourself for it. And the universe, fate, destiny, has been trying to get your attention for years. universe, trying to wake you up, trying to show you what you really are, trying to make you understand that you cannot keep living the way you have been living. So here's what happens now. You stop hiding, you stop apologizing, you stop minimizing you and rationalizing and pretending. You stop asking for permission that was never needed in the first place. You stop waiting for people who will never understand you to finally understand. You stop looking for validation from people, from sources that don't have the capacity to validate what you are. You look at what's in your hands and you accept that it's been there all along. You accept that it's yours. You accept that it's what makes you who you are. And then you start using it. You start speaking what you know. You start feeling what you feel. You start trusting what you sense. You start moving in the direction that's been calling to you, the direction that's been waiting for you, the direction that's been impossible to ignore, but so easy to avoid. You start being what you are, fully, completely, without reservation, without apology, without shrinking back. And when you do that, when you finally step into what you were always meant to be, everything changes. Everything changes. The resistance you've been feeling, the opposition, their impossibility, all of it starts to dissolve because it was never real. It was never a wall in front of you. It was just a wall you built around yourself, a wall you thought was protecting you, but was actually imprisoning you. And when you finally realize you can walk right through it, when you finally realize it, you will realize it was never real. When you finally realize the only thing keeping you from everything you are meant to be is your own refusal to become it, that's when everything shifts. You are not waiting for anything anymore. You are not pretending anymore. You are not getting ready anymore. You are ready. You have always been ready. You just didn't know it. Maybe you knew it, actually. You just couldn't see it. You just couldn't believe it. But now you can. Now you do. Now you know. This is your moment, not later, not when you have figured everything it all out, not when everything is perfect. Now, right now, this exact second. The moment you stop listening to this, the moment you close your eyes and feel what you are carrying, the moment you finally let yourself know what you have always known, that's when you become what you were always meant to be. That's when you start using what you have always been given. That's when you start fulfilling what you were made for. You have been chosen for this. You have been set apart for this. You have been prepared for this. And nothing that's happened to you, nothing that's been done to you, nothing that's been taken from you, none of it has been wasted. It's all been part of the process. It's all been part of the transformation. It's all been part of the making of the weapon that's now finally in your hands, ready to be used for the purpose it was always meant to serve. So tell no one. Not because you should be ashamed, not because it's something to hide, but because some things are too sacred to be spoken carelessly. Some things are too powerful to be thrown before people who cannot understand them. Some things are too precious to be shared with those who would only diminish them. Keep it close, keep it secret, keep it safe. And then use it. Use it boldly. Use it completely. Use it without fear. Because fear is the only thing that's ever held you back. And fear is the only thing that can ever stop you. And fear is something you've already conquered, whether you know it or not. This is real. This is true. This is you.